Welcome, 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 London. I'm so excited to be here. I go by the name of Laura Lyles, Coach Laura Lyles, for some of you who don't know. And I'm excited to be here today. Yes, woo! I'm excited to be here because I truly believe that relationships are our greatest assets, right? They show us who we are. And in order to truly thrive in life, we have to develop stronger relationships. And the first relationship is the one we're having with ourselves, right? So some of you, who's ready for this event? Who is ready? Who's been waiting for Tony to come to London? Right? I'm so excited. Listen, I'm so excited. When I heard he was coming to London, I was like, oh my goodness, I need to be a part of this. Amazing, right? But listen, everyone has a different journey in this room. I don't know where you are in your life right now, but my journey started at a very young age, right? I was born, and I had, some of you would get that on the way home, but I was born like anyone else, right? And life went up and down. So I'm here today as a life coach from London, UK. I speak on different stages. I coach women from all around the world, but I had a dip. Before all of this, I had a real big dip. So I found myself with 2 letters. Can we say 2 letters? Can we say 2 letters, London? Right. I found myself with 2 letters that changed my entire life. I did not know these 2 letters were going to change my life, but they did, right? One of the letters said that I had 2 weeks to leave my home. I was getting evicted from my home. And the second letter was my husband was filing for divorce. So I found myself going through divorce and homelessness at the same time. And in that moment, I lost everything, my self-esteem, my faith, everything just plummeted to the ground. And I had my son. My son was young at the time. And I was like, what am I going to do? I found myself, had my sister by my side, Kim, thank the Lord. But I was like, what am I going to do? But when you're in that space, right, nothing looks good on the outside. You become desperate. Who knows what I'm talking about? You become desperate for love. You become desperate for attention and approval. And that's where I was many, many years ago, desperate for attention. So I found love in all the wrong places, right? Who's had boo-boo before? Women. You know boo-boo, right? You want him more than he wants you, right? Some of you going on like you don't know what I'm talking about. Oh, you're sitting next to him, right? I'm joking. I'm playing. But listen, I found that person. I remember sitting with my sister at home and being so desperate. I was like, Kim, I just like him. I like him. And she was like, why, Laura, why? I didn't know I had a self-esteem issue, but I did. So I decided to come to events and seminars like this, invest in myself, right, and learn how to love myself again. And I built myself back up so where no person, place, or thing has control over me, right? I love myself from within. I don't allow anyone to, come in my space and take over. I really know who I am. So that's why I'm so excited to host for Tony Gaskins, because it's real. It's so real, seeing his beautiful wife, seeing the children, having real conversation with him. It's actually real. It's possible. I know with social media, we feel like this perfect relationship doesn't exist. Well, all relationships have little challenges, right? But it's real to have someone, to grow a family, to be, right? So I'm excited to host for Tony Gaskins tonight. Who is really ready? Are we ready? 'Cause I don't want to bring Tony out until we're ready. I do not want to bring him out until we're ready. I do not want to bring him. So, Tony. There you are.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for coming out. I hope everybody can hear me. Awesome. Thank you. Y'all can be seated. You can be seated. Now, I know some people who came from outside of London. Anybody in here? Anybody made it? A few of you. Where you travel from? Holland. Okay, wow. My geography class was very bad. And in America, they only give you one geography class, and that's in 4th grade. So I've been asking my wife the whole time, is London in Europe, trying to figure out the map. One lady wrote me, said she was coming from Amsterdam. And I know it's a lot of people who took off work or got off early to come out. I met some of you. And I just really want to thank you because, being an American, coming way across the water to another place where people don't really know you as well. They only know you from social media. And the accent is totally different. And just to be received, I really appreciate you. So thank you all so much. Now, who in here is single? How many singles do we have? It doesn't seem like that many. Married? How many are married? Married? Just two of you married? 3, 4, okay. Married couple right here. And y'all have the book. Y'all live here? Okay, wow. How did you get the book? Amazon? Okay, awesome. I know some people act like they can't get it from Amazon. You got it too, awesome. Divorce? Anybody divorced? Awesome. Next month. Wow, you look happy. You look happy. And before I go any further, I forgot to acknowledge Miss Laura Lyles. Y'all give her a round of applause. It was an example. I was online and I was looking around and I saw her video or something like this, maybe on the popular page, and I looked and I was like, or maybe she reposted me or something, I'm not sure, but I saw her and I was looking at her page and I'm like, man, she's really doing this thing. She stepped out there, and I know how hard it is to love yourself and to get out there and get the confidence, even for myself. And when I saw it, I was so impressed, and we connected, and I realized then, I learned that we had already met in the States at another event where I was speaking and she was there. And so it just kind of showed me, and I want to make an example of that to say, just like her, just like me, when you look at us, you may not see anything special. And you look at our page, you're like, look, some people call what I do common sense. And I'm like, well, if it's so common, why aren't you commonly doing it? If it's common, commonly do it. And I want to encourage you in that, because when you start to walk in your power and you start to love yourself, knowing who you are, you can create and turn your mess into a message. So I thank you, Laura, for hosting us. Now, if anybody has a seat next to them and somebody comes in, y'all raise your hand. I know we only got this young lady right here. Is that seat open where you are? Any other open seats? Okay. Y'all let her know. And baby, you can let them know. This is my beautiful wife, too, back here. Stand up, baby. Thank you. She's so humble. She didn't even save her a seat up here. She's sitting in the very back. But that's my queen. I may tell our story a little bit today, but we're going to go, into a little lesson. But she is the reason I'm here today. She is the reason I'm here today. I literally would be either in the grave or in prison, coming from where I'm from, where I live, what I've seen, the things that I've done, the people that I was hanging with. Had it not been for her, I would not be here today. She did not baby me. She did not coddle me. She set her standard. She stood her ground. She showed me her back 2 times, walking out the door, one in dating and one in marriage, and that's all it took. That's all it took. That's why I don't preach 3rd and 4th and 5th chances, because I know if a knucklehead like me can get it right, then any man can get it right. And so I just really, really have to honor my wife. We still got a couple people coming in, but, we're going to keep it moving. Now, back to the questions. How anybody in here, you in a situationship? Raise your hand. Situationship. A couple of you. Anybody, You abstinent. Anybody abstinent? You abstaining until you get married. A few of you. Awesome, awesome. Anybody been abstinent for a year? 2 years? 3 years? 4? 5? 6? 7? This kind of like a church now. Y'all don't really want to lie. 8, we got a 7 over there. 8 years. Is she basically a virgin? Is she basically a virgin? Is she a virgin? Any virgins? Let's give the virgin a round of applause. Bless. Okay, 2 of you. I always have to celebrate the virgins because the rest of us heathens, I just like to celebrate the virgins. I want you to, really identify and start to really think about your life and as you process it. Anybody came to my last London seminar a few years back? 1, 2, 3, 4. Do y'all remember anything I said on that one? Or this all fresh and new? Some of it? Okay, so I got 4 returners. So this new people. Awesome. That's pretty cool. I want you to think about this, and I want you to think about your life and think about every person. Some of you, it's only one. But every person that you've lied down with. Every person that you've lied down with. And then beyond that, think about the people that you have an emotional tie to. That you spent time with them, you talked to them on the phone, you maybe went out on a date, and you spent time with them to the point that when you parted ways, you still were thinking about them. Sometimes you have dreams about them. Sometimes you can feel them. You literally can feel their presence. You may get a little tingle in your bones. You may miss a meal. You may have a sleepless night thinking about them. You may find yourself going on Facebook or Instagram and searching their name, trying to see who they're with, what they're doing, how they're looking. Are they doing better than you? Or is their life going down the drain like you hope? Have they gotten their karma that you're waiting on, or reap what they've sown, as I would say from my belief system? So I want you to think about this and think about the pain and the pain points, because a lot of times we ignore those. And then when you bring yourself all the way to today and you look online, how many of y'all have a favorite couple online? Anybody have a favorite couple online? Now you would say that, but I believe you. I believe you. I believe you. For 10 years? Wow, I did see you. I saw you 2 or 3 times today. 10 years. Wow. Have I? You're not lying, because I got on Twitter 10 years ago. Yeah, you're right. I saw it. Anybody else have a favorite online couple? When people put couples goals, who is yours? J-Lo and A-Rod. Now, that's just ridiculous. That's a bad example. That ain't no bad example, but they still kind of fresh, right? Do you just like J-Lo body or something, or you just like them? They just look good together. Anybody else? What's yours? Ludacris and Adoxy? Yeah, okay. What about you? Jada and Will Smith? Okay. Michelle and Barack. Okay, I like that now. LL Cool J. I ain't never seen his wife. He got a wife? Okay, wow. Denzel. Devin Franklin and Megan. Okay. Russell and Sierra. Brian Reynolds. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. Is they white? Oh, okay. I ain't never heard of them. I didn't even know who that was. Anybody over here got a couple? Who? From who family? DeVal Ellis. They big online? I feel like they light skinned. Do they do skits? They do skits, okay. Dr. Mike and Dee Dee Freeman. That's a personal, your pastor, or they big online? Oh, okay. Heather and Cornelius, okay. Now you see, and how many of y'all seen like the Black Love documentary? And you see love is trending. Love is trending now. And that's why I have to go the extra mile. Then we got the fashionably lates here. Y'all hold up your hand if you got a seat. If you got a seat, or if you could slide next to a seat so you can open. Maybe can y'all sit next together, or is it uncomfortable right there? Let me see. We need 2 seats. You got a seat over there, 2 seats over here. It's 2 seats over here. Now you see love is trending. And anybody you sick of hearing about love online? One person, but you came to my seminar. but you helping me out tonight too. But you sick of hearing about love. What make you sick of hearing of it? It's everywhere, it's annoying. Right, when you're not in it. Everybody else, y'all cool with hearing about it? See, today, what happens is, one thing that we all experience is love. Not all of us experience sports. Not all of us experience fashion. Not all of us experience makeup. One thing we all experience is love. Love is a universal language. Love is a language that translates all around the world. But today what's happening is people are monetizing love. They're monetizing love, and people want to sell love. They want to sell it, and so in order to sell it, you got to take a good picture of your relationship. And you got to post it every day. And you got to do all of this stuff to make your relationship look real. And me being a life coach and a relationship coach since 2007, so it's been 12 years, a lot of times I'm behind the scenes in these relationships. And I get to see the real. And the behind the scenes does not match the highlight reel 99% of time. But what happens is when you see it, you believe it. And when you believe it, but you don't understand the behind the scenes and what it takes to make it work, you start to get down in your own relationship. A lot of women are ruining and self-sabotaging their relationship, comparing their man to me, to Devon Franklin, and to these other men that you mentioned, but you don't know us. You have no clue what we do behind closed doors. And I'm speaking on this because I am the only person that I know, so I can speak for myself. Meaning, I know my behind the scenes matches my highlight reel. But I also have been behind the scenes in several other cases, and I've seen that it is fake. And so what happens is, even with comedians and people who do meme accounts, you know, the people who run meme accounts earn 6 figures on the meme accounts. Did y'all know that? If you think of a catchy title, like I had one called Trust and Love, and it was Trust X Love. I own a page on Instagram that I don't use. It's called Basic Love 101. But if you think of a catchy title and you start a meme account, within 3 years, you probably be earning 100,000 pounds or more a year from that account. And so what they do is, the memes, when they post a business quote, they see it doesn't do a whole lot. When they post just a general motivational quote, they see it doesn't do a whole lot. When they post a love quote, it goes crazy. So now what we have today is we have 1 million relationship coaches online through meme accounts. And now we have celebrities and influencers getting in a relationship just to sell love. Hate each other, sleep in separate beds, on the verge of a breakup, on the verge of a divorce, but will sell you love every day, all day. Be in a relationship for 5 seconds and write a book about it. That is what's happening. So when you look at your life and you look at your relationship and you find unhappiness, when you are unsettled in your singleness, identify the root and realize that you're unhappy with your singleness because you're comparing it to somebody else's relationship that you don't even know what they have going on. And then when you get in a relationship, you're comparing your partner to somebody else's partner, but you don't know their partner. When the partner you have could actually be the best partner in the world if you focus on your partner and building that relationship. And then we get to the place to where we're even just comparing ourselves. I was sitting on the bus. We've been in Europe for 4 weeks now, and we have 2 more weeks. My wife kind of set this up so I can see some other parts of the world because I'm very closed in country and different. And so she exposing me. And we were sitting on a bus, and I saw a girl who was this big. She was this big, a grown woman, not a girl, a woman who was this big. And she had taken a picture, and she took her picture that was this big and put it in an app that did this. The app was called Slim and Pretty. Some of y'all got it? I'm looking at who got it. What was it called? Slim and Fine? Slim and Fine or Slim and Pretty? I say, what is she slimming? And she ain't got nothing to slim. She needs some bread. I'm looking at her. I wanted to give her a piece of my food. But she was in there, and she kept on slimming it, kept on slimming it. I say, wow, how many times she gonna slim this thing? Now, I'm watching her. I pointed out to my wife. I pointed out to my 12-year-old son. I said, look at this, this is good. This is good. And I'm like, wow. But see, the curse of comparison. So today we live in a society that is all comparison. I follow 3 people on Instagram. It was just my wife, but I kept getting flack from people. So I followed my 2 sons. Because women ask me, why you only follow your wife? I'm like, what kind of question is that? You think I want to look at your selfies all day? I'm like, what would that do to my spirit? And so for me, I went to a rule to where I don't watch. Now, you may be in a position where you can watch some stuff because you're feeding yourself and you're not ready to deliver yet. But because I have to deliver, I stop watching and I stop comparing. So I want you to think about, when you think about self-love, who are you comparing you to? Are you comparing yourself to the person in the mirror? Or are you comparing yourself to the highlight reel on Instagram that is not real? It is not real. I tell people, I don't even want you to believe in me and my wife's relationship until you meet us in person and you see our interaction and you feel our energy. And if you ain't doing drugs or nothing like that, I trust your intuition, and you will be able to tell that it's authentic. But don't give me credit that I have not earned. And that's what's happening today. So the soul thing, which 10 years ago I wouldn't have had to say this because social media wasn't as prevalent as it is today. But the first thing I want you to understand and to walk away with is stop comparing. Stop comparing. Stop comparing your looks, your shape, your body, your background, your money. Stop comparing yourself to other people. Stop comparing your relationship status and your relationship to people's relationship online. And just start looking in the mirror and focusing on you and asking yourself, where do I want to be better at? What do I want to do different? And when you make that decision, that's when you will start to see things change. Now, beyond that social media side, how many people in here have been single more than a year? More than 3 years? 5 years? 7 years? A few? 8? So most people in here, 7, 8 or less, more than 8. Now, I'm going to address the singles, and we're going to go into the couples. And I want the couples to listen to what I talk about with the singles, and the singles to listen to what I talk about with the couples. Because there's a lot of people in a relationship that didn't do the work when they were single. But it doesn't mean you need to be single or that it's too late. And there's a lot of people that's single that don't understand what it takes to get into a relationship and have a successful relationship. Now, for everybody, that first rule of comparison, it affects us all. But after that, it's back to the pain points. And you start thinking about, what did your mother do to you? Say to you? What type of example did she set? Your father, if he was absent, he set an example. But even if he was present, what type of example did he set? Do you have mommy wounds? Do you have daddy wounds? For some of you, you may have uncle wounds or aunt wounds, cousin wounds. You have wounds that you have not addressed. And what we have to realize is that pain is a healing agent. That without pain sensors in the body, we cannot heal. I heard a guy tell a story about his son who the pain sensors in his brain did not work. So he would go and he would touch the hot stove right when the cookies were done. And he would burn the skin off of his hand. And it wouldn't heal because the pain sensors in his brain did not work. So it did not tell his brain, we've been burned, this is hot, we need to heal. The same thing happens with your heart. So if you've been running from your pain, if you've been masking your pain, if you've been drowning your pain in alcohol, in retail therapy, spending money you don't have, maxing out credit cards, trying to feel better, you're trying to buy your self-worth. I ain't never seen a group of people as Gucci and Louis down as I have in Europe. I was like, wow. We had to go buy some labels just to fit in. I'm like, baby, we need to get some labels because over here, I was like, wow. Retail therapy. It may be, for some people, being promiscuous, just jumping in the bed. It may be drowning yourself in comparison. But where is your pain that you have not addressed? Because unless you address it and you admit that you feel it, you cannot heal it. So if you don't sit down and get a pen and pad and write out every pain point that you can think of, so you have to address that pain point that you could remember when you were 4 years old. That one that you could remember when you were 7. Then when you were 12. What was it, and what did it teach you? And how is it showing up in your life today? So, if you saw abuse when you were growing up, you were taught that love is abuse. So when you got into a relationship, you believe unless it gets abusive, it's not real. It's not love. I had an ex who told me that if I didn't choke her, I don't love her. I was like, wow. I said, well, where you got that from? Oh, my dad choked my mom. My sister got choked by her boyfriend. I was like, well, darn. So that's the threshold of love. I knew then I got to go. I got to go because this could get real dangerous. And so when you don't address that pain, when you don't address the learned behaviors, see, a lot of times we just think love is innate. We all have the ability to love. We all are capable of love. But love is a learned behavior. You have to learn what it looks like to show love. My 5-year-old son loves his brother, who is 12. But the way he shows love is punching him in the stomach and slapping him in the face. Now, my 12-year-old getting hurt, but his brother just loves him. So then I have to take and show him that's not how you show love. Give your brother a hug. Play the game with him. Sit, be nice. So love is a learned behavior, because you ever been with somebody and you say, I love them and I know they love me. So many women, they say to me, I know he loves me. I know he loves me. I said, but he cheating on you. Yeah, but I know he loves me. But he beating on you. Yeah, but I know it's love. I said, that's not love. That's self-hate. He cannot love you because he does not know what love looks like or feels like. So he learned how to hate himself, and he is exuding that self-hate. But see, the thing is unless you take and you learn love for yourself, you will confuse the two. If you don't learn love, someone will teach you how to hate yourself. And then what happens is we equate time with love. You can be with somebody for 20 years and there's no love. I've been married 12 years, but sometimes I meet a couple who they've been married for 20 years and they look down on me. Oh, you doing little love seminars? I've been married for 20 years. And I could tell from this spirit, yeah, the relationship been dead for 19. So what, you want, a cookie? Because you done played the fool for the last 2 decades? But we equate time with love. We equate history with love. We equate chemistry with love. So we think just because I'm strongly attracted to this person and because we have chemistry, it must be love. But how many of y'all seen an explosion in chemistry class? So you can have chemistry that is not meant to be. You can have a mix that should not mix. The sex may be amazing. You may have some great laughter. You may have some fun dates, but you're not made for one another. So see, when you really start to understand love, love is that thing that you tell yourself you want. Those standards that you set in the wee hours of the night, on your commute to work, the things that you envision, the things that you dream about, the things that you say, this is the kind of relationship I want. The Instagram photos that are fake, but you take them as real and you tell yourself that's what you want, That's what love is. Love is the standards that you set. And I did not understand this until my wife showed me. And I don't know where she necessarily learned it at. But she used to have this quote that she had, and it said, "I want it all." And when I first saw that, I was like, that's kind of greedy. Like, you want it all. Like, why you just don't want what somebody want to give you? It said, "I want it all." And I didn't understand it. And I said, well, baby, look now. Now, we humble over here. You talking about you want it all. What all do you want? And then she explained it to me. And she said, I want to have a happy marriage that is 100% faithful and to raise well-mannered, good kids, to have good income, and to be able to live, not just make a living, but make a life. And I was like, wow. And then here I am on what y'all call holiday for 6 weeks. And I was scared to death when my wife said we're going to be gone for 6 weeks. I said, baby, how am I earn money? How we going to eat? I got bills to pay now. What you talking about 6 weeks? Who do that? Where do they do that at? Everybody meeting us, and how long you over here? And we said 6 weeks. We're like, what do you do for work? How did you get off 6 weeks from work? But I realized that I'm over here for 6 weeks and nothing has stopped. Nothing has slowed down. My 12-year-old and my 5-year-old getting to see 20 different cities in 8 different countries. And it's all a manifestation of my wife's standards because she refused to settle for less. She refused to settle for a man who would cheat on her, who would verbally abuse her, who would physically abuse her, who would run in and out of her life. And I didn't understand what she was doing when she was standing her ground. But what was happening is we were building a foundation. We were laying an infrastructure that we could build upon. So the ridiculous dreams that you have for your life can be real. Those ridiculous thoughts that people tell you, oh, that's a fairy tale. I just posted the other day that love is not a fight. And nobody seems to get it because we are only accustomed to fighting in our relationships. We are only accustomed to yelling and screaming and fussing and cussing and break up to make up. Oh, we need a break. Oh, I need space. Oh, I need time. Oh, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want. I need to find me first. We're so accustomed to that in our relationships, but really all that is somebody in the relationship is not committed. Somebody is not committed. So when you're not committed, you need a break. When you're not committed, you need space. When you're not committed, you argue every other day. When you're not committed, you got to break up to make up because you're not committed. And my wife, she basically told me, if you ain't going to be committed, you're not going to be here. If you're going to be on Facebook in the inbox emotionally cheating, trying to build up to where you could physically cheat, you could have that. I'm gone. And I didn't understand it. I'm like, you got the audacity to expect faithfulness from a 23-year-old who was a womanizer right before you? So what, you want me to change overnight? And she's like, yeah. And I did it. I didn't know I was capable of it. I could not believe or fathom being faithful to one woman because I had never seen it done by any man. By any man. Pastors on down. I had never seen it done. And I was like, so if they couldn't do it, how can I do it? But that ridiculous demand was actually very realistic. And when something is required of you, you do what you have to do. So my charge to you today is set new standards. Set new standards. Look at your list of standards and understand the difference between standards and preferences. There's a difference between standards and preferences. So my wife 5'8", I'm 5'10". So a preference is 6 foot or taller. A standard is he loves the Lord. He doesn't drink. He doesn't curse. He's faithful. He doesn't yell at me. He's not verbally, physically, emotionally, financially, socially abusive. That's a standard. But see, a preference is rooted in numbers. He needs to be 6 foot tall, or she needs to be 5'4". He needs to earn 6 figures. She needs to have a master's degree. He needs to be brown skin. She needs to be light skin. When I talk to so many people, I hear all of these preferences. One lady told me he has to have a love for classical music. I said, you're going to be single all your life. And when you meet a man who likes classical music, he might be ugly. So you waiting on a man who tall, dark, and handsome, who going to be faithful, and he like classical music. That has nothing to do with the makeup of a man if he likes a certain kind of music. But I say, so why don't you take and expose him to classical music? When I met my wife, I ate 3 things. McDonald's, Popeye's chicken, which I ain't seen over here, and Pizza Hut. Now she got me eating sushi and cucumbers and salads and lox and bagels and all kind of exotic stuff on my tongue. And I'm like, wow, she exposed. She could have just said he too country and backwoods and untraveled and unlearned and just poor, dumb, and country. But she said, I'm going to look at his heart. I'm going to look at his ambition, his goals. Talk to him about your goals. And then everything else we could work on. So a lot of you, to be honest with you, who are single, and even those who are in a relationship and unhappy, it's because you're focusing on preferences. You thinking about height, income, body shape. You're thinking about all of these things that have nothing to do with character. But when you look at standards and you allow a person's character to be their currency, when a person's character is their currency, a lot of broke people are on their way to being wealthy. And a lot of wealthy people are actually flat broke. I heard tell of a story of a woman who she had a man and they was getting engaged, and the man bought her a ring for $3,000. But she wanted a ring for $10,000. So she went and threw the ring away and said she lost it and left the man. And I realized this happening every day. That women, y'all have seen debates online about the size of a diamond. And would you accept it? I remember seeing a meme of a little diamond on a woman's finger. It was so little. That woman had an engagement, and it was like, ladies, would you accept this? And all the comments like, I'll flush it down the toilet. He better not come home with that little diamond. I need a magnifying glass. You know, all of these comments. But from my line of work, what I've come to realize is that the bigger the diamond, the smaller the love. Because a lot of times a rich man got expensive tastes. So he wants variety. Just like he got 12 cars, he wants 12 women. So a lot of times you won't find, just like the good book say, it's easier for a camel to walk through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter heaven. While you waiting on a man with money, you also waiting on a man who may have a whole lot of problems. And just because he has money does not mean he has character. But see, if you could meet a broke man who is broke pocketed, but he is rich-minded, he gonna be rich. So I got on one knee on December 25th and put a 3-carat ring on my wife's finger that cost $69. And there was 3 carats of cubic zirconia and fake gold. And because I like fine things, I got a big, beautiful fake ring. And she put it on, just, oh my God. Oh. She told me probably 5 years later, you ain't think I knew that ring was fake? I'm like, well, I kind of knew you knew it was fake. And I mean, her mom was looking at it like, and see, her mom, they Jamaican. So they can't really hide faces. Her mom looked at the ring and she was like, that's nice. That's nice. She knew it was fake because you know what a ring that size would cost. But my wife wore that ring. She wore that thing every day. We had what you call like a swap meet, to where it's like outside and everybody from all the different places got tables and they selling all the fake stuff. For years, my wife wore fake designer bags. The bags that cost $5,000 and $1,200 and $4,000. She had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them that I bought for $30. And she wore them every day. We went around celebrities and people with money, and she got this fake Louis Vuitton bag on. And they looking at her like, ugh. And this after I was an author and a speaker, and she got this fake bag on. But what she was looking at was what's in here. So when I really got my money right, she was able to get some of the nicer things and the fine things. So she went from the fake to the real. And we was over in Harrods, y'all's little store Harrods. And it felt good being young and black in there with the people with the thing wrapped around their head with all that real money. It felt good being able to and being able to buy a little something. And my wife got to partake in that, but came from nothing because of what was in the heart. So a lot of times what happens is, when you're unhappy, it's because of just what's in your mind. When you're single and you're single for a long time, it could be one thing that you need to do different. I talk about the 3 B's: the brain, the brand, and the body, and how you love yourself and how you treat yourself. And if you focus on and you look in the mirror and you say, what do I need to work on? See, right now, I'm up here, I can barely breathe because I'm trying to suck in. And I eat bad. But I'm married, so I can eat bad. But if I was single, I'll say, look, that's what I need to work on is my longevity and my health. Stop eating fried chicken. Stop eating greasy food. People confuse life coach with health and wellness coach. I meet people, they say, Tony, you probably vegan, right? I said, listen, I'm a relationship coach. I don't coach on dieting and food. So when you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, what do I need to work on? And you make this list. It's not about my ears need to be tighter to my head. It's not about I need a smaller nose. It's what do you need to fix in here? Your mindset, your outlook, your habits, your choices and your decisions. If you just make one change a week or a month, your life will start to change. But a lot of times we keep doing the same thing and we okay with being excellent in one area and average in every other area. And I will meet people and I'm coaching clients and they say, Tony, well, I've been single for 8 years or I've been single for 5 years. And I say, well, how often do you get out the house? Never. I go to work and come home. I said, well, you go to the grocery store or the gas station or what have you. Well, yeah, I do those things. And I said, well, what you doing when you there? And 9 out of 10 times, she on her phone. So she out and she speed walking and she on her phone. So her husband seen her. But because she's not in expectation of her husband, because she hasn't done the work, she don't see him. And he will have to pull a hamstring to catch her. And a lot of times, if a man do catch your attention, he startles you because you weren't in expectation, because you hadn't been doing the work. And then I talk to men who are single and or not married, and they say, well, Tony, one guy I talked to him, he said, Tony, you know, I really like her and everything, but she got a black line on her thumb, on her thumbnail. She got a black line that go down the middle of her thumbnail. I say, you mean like a jam finger? Like she slammed her finger in the door? Like she got like a bruise in the nail? He said, yeah, I can't do that. Oh, no, I can't do that. I said, what you mean? I said, what are you trying to tell me? Tony, you know, I need a 10. I need a 10. I refuse to accept a 9. I'm like, well, what number you think you is? Because by a very nice scale, you're a 7. So I'm like, what do you mean? And then I would meet guys and they literally like, she have to be a certain complexion. One guy told me she needs to be olive skin, green eyes with black hair. I said, what? Who are you waiting on? Who are you looking for? And he literally single waiting on that look. But then if you get that, then she get home and take her contacts out. She take her makeup off and she look like a ghost now. She pulled that wig off and her real hair is a whole nother color. So I'm like, this is what's hanging us up. And people will go from single thinking like that to settling for a relationship and still comparing. Still thinking, well, if he just does this, if he just does that. We all have to make some type of healthy compromise. And when you understand who you are, and you understand what really matters, and when you're working on you, and if you say, I'm going to work on me, I'm not going to look left, I'm not going to look right, but I'm just going to do the work. I'm going to do the work. And every day, I'm going to push myself, I'm going to challenge myself, and I'm going to settle for the pain of discipline instead of the pain of regret. And when you put in that type of work, guess what? You elevate to a new level and you attract new people. When you always hear you attract what you are, it does not mean who approaches you. It means who you settle for. If you settle into a relationship with a toxic person, that's a reflection of you. It does not mean that you're toxic. It means that you don't know that you're worth more than a toxic person. It means that you didn't set your standards and know what those standards look like and uphold that when that person comes into your life. And that's what we've fallen short at. Now, how many of y'all in here again, you married? Just right here. And so why you came out tonight? Just wanted to come and get some extra jewels? How long have you been married? 17 years. So you come to see if you could teach the seminar. How long have y'all been married?
Almost 5.
Almost 5. Wow, okay. Now, who proposed?
I did.
Okay, got to ask that question today. Because some of y'all, have y'all ladies heard about, women proposing and women shooting your shot? How many of y'all ladies shoot your shot? Raise your hand. Don't tell. We got one that's willing to tell the truth. Anybody else shoot your shot? 2. Anybody else? That's the thing today. They telling women shoot your shot. Women proposing, women getting on one knee. And I'm going to tell y'all, it's cool if you want to experiment with it. When it's time, you want to experiment, but hold your shot. Hold your shot and just keep working on you. And the man for you will approach you, have the confidence to approach you, the confidence to court you, and then he will propose to you. Oh, you never have to as a woman. And this is what society and social media getting us confused, and it's flipping the script on us, and it's telling us, ladies, you got to shoot your shot. And the reason why it's saying that is because it's really the men running the meme accounts. And they posting these things because they want to make the dating world easier for them. And I know a lot of them. I know the men who run the meme accounts with the millions of followers. Ladies, if you don't approach a man, you're going to be single until you die. And they'll put the lady as a skeleton sitting on the bus stop. This is how you going to look. And just that little bit it affects your subconscious. And you don't realize it, but now when you go out and you at the lounge on Friday night or you at work, you remember what you saw, and now you going to shoot your shot. Yes, excuse me, my name is such and such, and I just saw you from across the room, and just want to know if you're single. And this is what you don't understand about men, is that we will take what you offer, even if we don't want it. So that man, as soon as you hit the room, he saw you. He saw you from across the room. And he looked at you, and he either said to himself, she's not my type, or I'm in a relationship and I'm trying to be good. It was one of those two things. So when you come and you shoot your shot, you're going to end up with a taken man, or a man who didn't want you, but he will take you so he could sleep with you, and then he will leave you for who he wants. And then you will have 10 people on social media from the peanut gallery. Oh, well, I approached my man, and we've been married 20 years. And you'll see that in the comments, and you'll say, well, see there, I could keep on. I could keep shooting my shot. But then what happens is, when I look at that woman's husband, I could tell he like men. Or he cheating on her, and he an absolute dog. Or he with her because of her job and her benefits and her money. But as a woman, she can't judge a man. So she thinking she did something by shooting her shot. But to a real man who knows who he is, if you shooting your shot, even if it don't come out your mouth, but you staring too much, you'll make him want to throw up in his mouth. I'm giving y'all the God-heaven truth. To a real man, a woman who is shooting her shot is disgusting. It's literally disgusting. It literally make a man say, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Excuse me. And the reason why is because we are wired to see you as the prize. But if you don't know you are the prize, we won't inform you that you're the prize. Instead, we will use you for all that you are worth, and then we will leave you for the woman that knows she is the prize. So you have to know who you are and what you bring to the table, and know that In this room, even the men in a relationship will see and recognize every other woman. It's just male nature. It don't mean he want to sleep with her. It doesn't mean he wants to approach her. It's just that men, because we are wired also to be hunters, to be warriors, to be killers, just our senses, we notice everything in our surroundings. So anywhere you are, every man in the room has already saw you. And if he don't approach you, it's because he's not available for you. So when you approach him, you setting yourself up for failure. And sometimes it works out, but it's because of an ulterior motive that the woman doesn't even know about. That man needed some help. He needed somebody with some good credit. He needed somebody he could get married to get his citizenship. He needed somewhere to stay. You will find 1 out of 1,000 where it's actually real. And see, the reason why I can say this is because you get to see your relationships of your friends and family. Me having 3 million people online, I get to see the end result of tens of thousands of these situations. So where you know 3 people it worked out for, I know 30,000 that it didn't work out for. So I would not tell you to drive 150 kilometers an hour and hit a tree and try to live because I know 10 people that did it. If I know 10,000 people who died. You see what I'm saying? And that's what our world is doing to us today. It's setting us up for failure because we're trying to bet on the exception instead of just sticking to the rules. We're trying to look for the exception because the rule is too painful, because you got to do too much work, because you got to sacrifice, because you got to wait for too long. It's too painful, so you want the exception to the rule. And while you chasing the exception, you're going through heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak. You getting set up. How many of y'all online date? How many of y'all online date? Tell the truth. I don't want you to find my profile. She honest about it. And you single? How long did you give the online dating, or are you currently still doing it? Still doing it? How long have you been testing it? How long, she said? 6 months. Anybody else? A year? How long? About 2 years on and off? Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Online dating is huge today. Like, again, monetizing love. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. But it's literally one of the worst things you could do as a woman. And I'll be honest with you. Now, are there women who have gotten married? Yes, absolutely. Just like I said, it's people who done hit a tree at 150 kilometers an hour and live. So, yes, absolutely. Match.com could do a whole commercial of people who done got married. But are they going to last 5 years? 90% of them ain't. Are they going to last 10 years? 99.9% of them ain't. I had a client. She got online to date. And she came to me, Tony, you was wrong. I got online and I met my husband. And we getting married, having us a beautiful wedding. I say, sis, that's amazing. That's amazing. I'm glad you beat the system, that you happened to meet a good man online. I'm on the online date. I said, I'm happy. I said, which one was it? eHarmony, Match.com? I think it was eHarmony. And I was like, okay, cool. 3 years later, she called me, Tony, you was right. That man was absolutely a devil, and we going through a divorce. Because as a man, I understand male nature. A man who is confident and ready and honest will never get online dating. He will never get on there. If we get online to date, it is to scam. Or we just looking for a floor mat. Like, it's doctors and lawyers who get on there, but they ain't looking for real love. They looking for a floor mat. They looking for a housemaid they could call a wife. They looking for a woman who's going to cook and clean, 3 hots, 3 hot meals a day, sex on demand, and he just gonna make the money. And he say, oh, I ain't got the time. But the human nature of a man is to pursue. We enjoy the chase. We enjoy looking and searching. That's in our nature. We hunters by nature. So when you go and you online date as a man, it's like a lion going into the field of a bunch of gazelle with 2 broke legs. And he know he finna eat good all day because this the land of the injured. So can't nobody run. Can't nobody get away. He don't even have to sprint after you. He can walk up to you. Look you in the eyes, you know he about to eat you alive and you can't do nothing about it. Because you reach the point of desperation. You reach the point of saying, look, nothing else is working. I'm tired. I work too hard. I'm too busy. I don't have time to meet anybody. That means you don't have time for a relationship. Or you say, I'm an introvert. I'm shy. You don't have to be an extrovert to get married because the man approaching you. You could be one of those women with the thing wrapped around their head, and you could be walking with your head down. And if he see a ham hock poking out the back of that sheet when the wind hit, he coming. He coming. When I tell you them women completely covered up over here still look beautiful, I told my wife will tell you, I said, babe, I want you to get you one of them head wraps. Because them things look, because it just looking at the eyes, it's like you could see them. So as a woman, it do not matter. You could be an introvert. You don't have to say a word. He sees you. He could see your big toe sticking out your sandal and make a decision. That's my wife. If the wind blow and it catch the right cheek, that's my wife. So women say, oh, I'm an introvert, so I got to get online. You could be an introvert and walk from here to across the street and meet your husband. And that's what I want y'all to understand. Remove desperation. Remove desperation. Desperation is a weak emotion and it produces weak results. A lot of time when people say, oh, I did good and I acted out of desperation, they didn't act out of desperation. They act out of courage. They act out of faith. They act out of love, and they mislabeling it. Desperation is a weak emotion. So you are ready for a relationship when you are 100% happy being single. And when I say 100%, it could really mean 85%. But what I mean by that is you are okay because you know you have done the work. And you know that you're walking, that you're working on yourself, that you love yourself, that you're not slacking, that you're not cutting corners, you're not taking shortcuts. And you know that you are going to, if you're a man, you're going to find love. If you're a woman, you're going to attract love. And women, you know, people try to say, oh, that's sexist and that's misogynistic and all of this and that. And it's no. Understand your power. Understand your worth. Understand you're the prize. And understand that it is of the essence that a man works for your heart. Now, we're going to talk about the actual relationship for a little bit, and then we're going to open up for Q&A so I could take some questions. And as I said, our VIP guests will be our muses for the night to ask the questions. When you think about, and some of y'all, how many of y'all in a relationship? You don't have to be married, but you just in a relationship. Raise your hand high so I can see. And then I would assume if you hear everybody who's not in a relationship, you want to be in a relationship. And who in here, you're not ready to be in a relationship? You're not ready. You're still healing. And you're in the right place. You're not ready. And now you look familiar. I done seen you somewhere before. Where at? One-on-one coaching. Okay, I done seen you. Yep, okay, we did a FaceTime session. That's why I remembered you. I ain't mean to put your business in the street. This one of my clients. She doing the work. Now, this young lady right here, you say you single? With the long curly hair. You single? Oh, okay. Oh, okay, so you short-sighted. Okay. She done told me that right there. See how women tell their business? I get it. No, I got it. But look now, as soon as I ask you a question, beautiful smile. Just, and just a totally different person. It's what I call a peanut M&M. Y'all done had a peanut M&M? Totally different person, where it's hard on the outside and soft on the inside. But as I pointed her out, and you sitting on the third row, so you know you're going to get seen when you're up close. But I pointed her out because when I was talking, I could tell by the way she was looking at me that she was single and not ready to date. Just by the way she was looking at me. And when I said, who's single and not ready, her hand went up. I say that to say that we all are glass windows, that we are not hiding anything. Every single person can read us and read our energy. And if they're sane and they're operating from the right place, they can read us. And so I say that because your subconscious, it dictates and determines your reality. So if you tell yourself, I'm not ready, it shows in your eyes. It shows in your smile. It shows in your posture. So that is why you cannot lie to love. You cannot tell love that you're ready and truly not be ready, because it will show in everything in you. So you truly have to get ready. So for those of you who are single and not ready, stay in that space. Stay in that space and do what you're doing. For all of y'all that raise your hand and you here today, you are doing the work. Because what happens is every time you get new knowledge, you replace old knowledge. Something that you thought was true, something that you thought you knew, you replace the lies with the truth. And as you replace the lies with the truth, you get wiser, you get stronger, you get smarter, and because you are feeding your mind, you are healing your pain. Because now you are self-soothing with new knowledge. And that knowledge is what prepares you to attract real love. So you will know when you're ready, and you won't have to force it. And you should never force it because you're 46 or you're 53. Because if you have not done enough work and learned enough and had enough sessions and read enough books and went to enough seminars, you are not ready. So you got to stay in that space and keep working. But understand this, when you are ready, and you got to make sure that what's coming out of your mouth matches what is in your heart, and that you are doing the work or you have done the work, and it is a continuous work. You have to continuously be working. So now we go into this space where we attract love. When you become love, if you are looking for love, it will elude you. If you are chasing love, you will not catch it. But if you become love, you will attract love. And so when you attract love, what's going to happen is everything in that person is going to try to come out to change you, to make you a Band-Aid for their wounds. Because although you may be ready, you are never 100%. So that's why we got to take action even when we may be 80, 85. Because 100 means perfection, and none of us are perfect. So when you meet this person, everything in them will try to change you to fit around them, to be a Band-Aid, to be ointment for their wound. And that's what you have to recognize and realize, and you got to call it out. Because you can know right and be ready to do right and know who you are, but still not be fully prepared. So when I met my wife, I was 21. She was 19. it was some big old police just walked in here. I mean, tall and muscular and some brothers. I don't know if they woman in here or the feds looking for me. So it threw me off. I said, Lord, people coming to serve me. So when I met my wife, she had some pain points from her upbringing of not feeling good enough, coming from a culture and an environment to where you have to be perfect. You got to have straight A's. You got to go to college, get your college degree, and you got to go be a doctor. You know, your body got to be perfect. You can't be chubby. You can't be husky. You can't have, no extra weight on your bones. You got to be this. You got to be that. And it was an environment of perfection, whether it was school, whether it was the girl she grew up with. She had an insecurity where she was slumping. She told me it was because a girl in grade school told her, stop poking your chest out trying to look like you got breasts. And she said from that day, she walked with a slump just because of what a girl who was jealous of her for not having no chest was jealous of her little bumps on her chest and had something to say. So see, we've gone through things. With me, I had saw abuse my entire life. I saw aunts with permanently swollen eyes and broken ribs and burnt skin. I saw divorce everywhere, all around me. I had gone through toxic, abusive relationships where the abuse was reinforced. So when I came to my wife, I saw a woman as a piece of meat. I saw a woman as a maid, as a do-girl, as someone who she just goes along to get along, because it seemed like every woman that I had met was okay just being a sex slave and a housemaid. It was like not many women knew who they were and knew their worth. 99% of the women who I met would sleep with me on my terms, not on theirs. When I was ready, not when they were ready. So I had not met a woman who knew who she was and what she wanted and was unwilling to compromise. So all of this had been reinforced. So when I met my wife and I knew she was a wife and I knew she was the one, she had to check me because I wanted to be controlling. Where you going? Who you with? What you doing? What time you coming? What time you going? What you wearing? How your hair? You got makeup on? What shoes you got on? Who you with? Let me hear. Put her on the phone. Let me hear her voice. You ain't with her. I was wanting to be controlling because that's what I thought a relationship was. And about 2-3 months in, she told me, we need to take a break. Which really meant we breaking up and you'll never talk to me again. But I'm calling it a break because you crazy. And if I tell you we breaking up, you might try me. So we broke ways for 6 months with no intention of coming back together. My ego, I had too much ego, too much pride. I wasn't chasing her. I was 21. I was a college football player. I had just got kicked off my team, but I still had the football body, the football mindset, and so I had a lot of ego. I'm like, man, bump you. All right, go on ahead, bye. And I wasn't chasing, and we just so happened to bump into each other 6 months later. And I knew then that God was somewhere in the midst. And I said, I can't let her get away again. I can't let her get away again. And so I tried and I did everything I could do to get in and get over on her in the areas where I could get in and get over on her. And I was trying to change her, and I was trying to get her to a point to where she would compromise her self-worth or self-respect to reinforce my grown boy behavior. I was trying to get her up the creek without a paddle because it still was in my nature. And then the only thing that was wrong with her, and this is kind of awkward having my wife in here, but she used to me, is she was sensitive. And so I grew up to where my mom, she was big-boned, as she called it. She was big-boned, and she 5'5", and she was about 300 plus pounds. So she was big-boned in the South. And my dad, he would joke with her. She would sit on his leg, and he'll say, girl, get off my leg before you break my thigh. And she'll bust out laughing. She just had a good sense of humor. Nothing got to her. Nothing bothered her. So, and my dad would always joke with her. And she would joke and make fun of herself. And so I came from a family that was not sensitive at all. My wife was very sensitive. So if I said anything that was like a joke, she would take it serious. And she would get mad and she would shrink and she would like, oh, I cannot believe you said that. And I'm like, man, look, if I'm with you, I obviously don't have no problem with you. So if I make a joke, it ain't got nothing really to do with you. And so one day I told her, because she was checking me and she was changing me and she was working me. And I told her, I said, listen here. I say, nah, you done told me I can't yell, curse, control, ask all these questions. I can't say I'm calling you at 9 and not call. I can't say I'm going to be in at noon, at midnight and come back at 3. I can't get away with nothing. Okay? I said, well, let me tell you something. Because I was looking for something because she was like perfect. I said, listen, you got some pain. I don't know where it come from. If it come from your dad, you know, she was raised with a single mom. I said, but it's some pain in there somewhere, and you got some daddy wounds, and you too sensitive, and you needy. And my daddy told me that the worst thing to have is a needy woman. So I said, you're going to have to get some tough skin. You're going to have to tighten up. You can't be all around here pouting and all this and getting sad and getting mad every time I say something now. And I just told her just like that. And she felt me. And she changed. Just like I changed, she stopped being needy. Any of y'all ladies have ever been needy? The way you just super sensitive and you just always want some attention, always want to be, everything got to be said right and done right. And just any one thing happen, you get upset. And I told her that. And she made that change. So the only thing she wanted me to do is to watch my words. So I did learn how to communicate and how to say things and what not to say. But she also learned I can't bring my past pain from my ex-boyfriend or from my upbringing into this relationship. And I learned that I can't bring the abusive lessons, the toxic controlling lessons, being a tyrant and a dictator into this relationship. So that's what you first have to realize, that in that first 2 years of a relationship, it is going to be hell and high water. It's going to feel like a war zone. And the reason why it feels like a war zone is because y'all are having a power struggle. And you want them to change to be like you are, and they want you to change to be like them. And so for the first 2 years, me and my wife bumped heads because she wanted to be the head and I wanted to be the head. And so we were arguing and fussing and fighting, and we were going at each other because we were trying to control. We were trying to have the upper hand. We were trying to manipulate. She was used to being served by her boyfriends. I was used to being served by my girlfriends. So now we had met our match. And when you meet your match, you 50-50. And when you 50-50, you just butting heads. So somebody got to be 51. And the other person 49 for a season. So I decided as the man, and this, to be honest with you, it needs to be the man, but it's not always the man. And so the man needs to be mature enough and in a place to step up and say, look, I'm going to be the bigger person and I'm going to grow. I'm going to grow and I'm going to change and I'm going to lead in love. So I started learning love. I started listening to audiobooks all day long. I started talking to my father who had made mistakes, gone through a divorce and in a new relationship, married again. And I learned from him the things I didn't learn growing up. And he taught me, and he said, son, you got to love as if you've never been hurt before. And that changed my life. When he said, son, you got to love as if you've never been hurt before. What it said to me is you have to love without all of the negative, toxic junk that you've seen your whole life. And that's when I realized that. And so when I realized that, I started to operate from a place of love. And this is where you get to where in a relationship, it has to be selfless, to where you have to serve one another. If you do something for your partner, they should be looking to do something for you without you asking. If you find yourself serving and serving and serving and serving, and there's no reciprocation, and serving could be as simple as a woman cooking a meal. Just as simple as a woman cooking a meal. That is an act of service. Act of service, according to Dr. Gary Chapman, is one of the love languages. So if you cook the meal, then the man needs to be looking to speak some of your language. You may say, wash the dishes. I ain't trying to hear that. And my wife in here, she like, yeah, you take your own advice. It may be taking out the trash. She beat me to take out the trash too. So I'm looking for something else. One of her love languages is gifts. You know, she loves birthdays. She loves surprises. You know, it could be a $5, pencil or pen, and it just lights her up just to, get something new. My 5-year-old son got that same bug. And them gifts could get expensive, but I didn't have any money, so I said I'm going to get her like a $12 dress on Thursdays. I go to Target. I don't know if y'all got Target over here. Y'all got Target? No. I go and get a $12 dress, and she'll light up. Oh, man, she'll light up. Or just write her a card. And I started looking for ways to serve. But because I had been a dog for the first 2 years, and I was controlling, I was toxic, I was disrespectful, not like all the way to where she had to leave, but I would do just enough to get on her nerves, and then I'd get off the ledge. When I saw she was getting fed up, I'd get back in line. And I was testing her. I was trying to train her, but she knew what she was doing. She was giving me enough rope. And so what happened is, when I started to serve and I started to lead in love, it was after me watching a movie. I think the movie was called Fireproof. And it's like a little low-budget Christian movie. And they had this 40-day love dare. And so I wrote a love calendar, and I say, on Monday, run Cherie bath water. On Tuesday, massage her feet. On Wednesday, write her a poem. On Thursday, for nothing gift. Friday is date night. That was literally the schedule, and I remembered it because I did it for 2 weeks. And in that 2 weeks, okay, I'm running bath water. I got candles out. Next thing you know, next day I'm massaging feet. The next day I'm massaging back. Then I'm writing a poem. I'm bringing home a $12 Target dress. And I looked over at her, and she just had her feet kicked up. And it was like every day she's like, okay, what's today? What's coming today? And for 2 weeks, she just received. And it started to grieve my spirit. And I'm thinking like, man, I'd like a back rub too. I'm like, I need a massage too. But what I realized is I was healing her heart from the damage that she had suffered in her life and from the damage that I had done. In them first 2 years, I was healing her heart. I was bringing her back to 100. I was filling her love bucket and her love account. And so when I had got to that point, at about 2 weeks, I was like, man, I'm done with this because I ain't getting no reciprocation. This thing ain't work. 40 days, 40 nights? No, I can't do it. But in my weariness, she sensed my weariness, and she started to reciprocate. And man, when she started to reciprocate, I learned love. I learned that a man cannot outlove a woman, that a woman, love is in her nature. Love is what she does. Love is a part of her being. It's her creation. That a man have to learn how to love. A woman was born knowing how to love. Just innately, you can carry a baby and have a baby and take care of that baby without ever having taken a class on how to take care of that baby. And when she started to reciprocate, that love just washed me. And what it did is it healed me. It made me whole. And so now we're in a relationship and both of us are being selfless. And I'm like, wow, this is powerful. Like, this is different. We're not competing. We're not at each other's throat. And what happened is we went into a season of peace. And I created these communication rules. Communication to a relationship is like oxygen to life. So I created these rules, and I just grabbed all the pieces from everything I had learned from my studies and just working on myself. And the first rule was, when you have a problem, wait 1 to 24 hours before you bring it up. I learned that from behavior science, working in the group home with mentally ill men. Number 2 was sit down while you're talking. When you're standing, it's just you're in command, just like me up here speaking. I'm commanding attention, and you're looking up to me because I'm standing and you're sitting. So when you want to communicate with somebody, y'all both got to be on the same level, so you sit down. Number 3 was seek to understand, then be understood. I learned that from Stephen R. Covey, listening to the 7 habits of highly effective people. And so when you seek to understand, you put their shoes on your feet and you walk a mile. You put their lenses on your eyes and you see life through their eyes. So when you seek to understand, you don't feel as much of a need to be understood. So I started seeking to understand, and I could see her point of view a whole lot better. Next was take turns talking. So when I was talking, she wouldn't cut me off. When she was talking, I would try not to cut her off. And then when I cut off, she'll check me. Okay, I'll let you talk. You need to let me talk. And it took years for her to learn how to communicate because she was raised by a strong mother who just handled business. If any of y'all have parents who were immigrants at some time, which my wife told me they didn't like the word immigrants, but I'm like, listen, that's what's on the paper, okay? She said, call me a naturalized citizen. That's too much. But when you have parents that come from another country, they come with a dream and a vision and a work ethic. And it's about business. Ain't no time to play. So that's how her mother lived, and so that's how my wife lived. So ain't too much of this. And if they get mad, it's time for this. And so my wife, she was the type to where early on she could not communicate. When normally it's the woman who could communicate. She could not communicate. She would get so angry in communication that it would either make tears come to her eyes or she would have to shut down mid-sentence because her reaction was more so like a man, which men typically don't communicate, we fight. If we get upset, we have a disagreement, it's going to blows. We're not sitting doing all this talking. Whereas women, your mind, you possess the cognitive skills that men lack so you can articulate yourself way better. But some of you, depending on how you were raised, could be more feisty than a man and could be ready to throw hands faster than a man. And so that was my wife. So I had to create a safe space to let her know, look, you can talk. You could talk. But what happened is for the first 2 years, whenever she said something, I flipped it back on her. And I wasn't seeking to understand. I would turn it back on her, and I wouldn't listen to her, and I would make her out to be crazy and make it her fault and find a way to make myself right again. So I had to get to the place to where I stopped doing that. And it took me 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times before she finally started to believe, okay, he will listen to me and let me talk all the way, and then he will accept what I say. He may have a rebuttal, he may have something to say back, but he let me say what I had to say. So today, she can talk as long as I can talk. And I realized that when I got to hear her truth, that thing hurt. And when she got to hear my truth, it hurts. But we seek to understand, then be understood. And so keep that in mind. The next thing is no yelling, no cursing, and no name calling. Some of y'all writing this down. That's those of you who are writing it will succeed. Other y'all, you just got a great memory. And so here we went. This happened when I was about 25. I got married at 23. I'm 35 today. It's been 10 years that we have not had an argument, meaning yelling, screaming, storming off, slamming doors, that we have not had an argument just because of these communication rules. And the last one was take action. So when I heard what she had to say, and she heard what I had to say, at the end of it, we would take action. And I mean, she was amazing. She is amazing. If I tell her something that I need from her, it's done immediately. like the next day she has made a change. I don't really watch myself. If she tell me when she needs something, I think I do. Otherwise, she wouldn't be there. But we take action. And so now when we take action, we realize that we both are selfless. So when you're selfless and not selfish, and you're willing to give, and it becomes a competition of who can treat the other person the best. So we was in Harrods, and I got our ears pierced at that Maria Tosh. And it was painful because they charged some good money. And I tried to get the little old bitty one this big, but it was too small, so I let her, get a bigger one. I said, well, I agree to that. And she said, no, I don't want it. No, I don't want it. That's too expensive. No, I don't want it. I said, baby, you came over here with the mindset because you saw this on YouTube from your vloggers. So you want to go to this Maria Tosh. I said, go ahead and get it. So here I am trying to serve her and give her a gift and speak her love language and do something for her. And she telling me, no, I don't want that, no. And she walked off. I said, listen here now, come on over here. I ain't get that loud, but I said, listen, you're going to come to this table. I done set this appointment with this man. You're going to have this appointment now. You told me this what you wanted. So because I showed her that I really want to do it, she stopped faking like she didn't want to do it. And so her whole demeanor changed. Woo, yeah, okay, yeah, so what do I got to do? Okay, yeah. Okay, so show me all the ones you have. Okay, and she all in it. But now, as soon as she was done getting them ears pierced, she came back, red, ear swole. She came back, and then she said to me, yeah, let's go downstairs and look for the shirt that you wanted. Come on, let's go get the shirt you wanted. And I'm like, well, wow, okay, look at her trying to reciprocate, So now I just did for her. Instead of her just receiving, she received, and then she wanted to multiply it. And I went down to the store and got me a shirt and got me some shoes, but I felt guilty because when I got me the shirt and I got me the shoes, I said, well, baby, get you a shirt over there. So now here we are just competing to love. If I rub her back, next thing I know, she rubbing my back. I'm massaging her hair, she massaging my hair. It's like a competition, who gonna love the other person the most? And that's what I want you to understand, is that's what it looks like when you're selfless. And I'm going to tell you the two things that break it down, and I'm closing on this, and then we're going to do a Q&A for 30 minutes. The two things that I see break down relationships from the male side and the female side is men are never, I won't say never. Men, most of the time, when a relationship is not working, it's because the man, if it's coming from the male side, is not focused and fully committed in the relationship. When you have strife and issues in your relationship, and you as a woman, you know you aren't causing it, you just reacting to it, if you dig deeper, he got a Facebook wife or Instagram wife or a work wife or a fake account on Bumble or Tinder, and he got a woman overseas that he connecting with, because he trying to get to the States. And they building a relationship, and she's setting up house for him over there in Miami. And you wondering why we having issues, what's going on, why we keep arguing. I'm doing everything I could do. I'm serving, I'm loving, I'm here, I'm attentive. I'm trying to make this thing work. What is going on? And it's not that he is the wrong person. It's that he's not focused. He's not focused on just you. To be honest with you, the success of my relationship comes from me being 100% focused on my wife. In them first 2 years when we was fussing and fighting and arguing, it's because I was emotionally cheating. It's because I was in the Facebook inbox trying to build some relationships, trying to flirt. It's because I was lusting when I was out and about in the streets. I'm lusting. Now, I still see every woman. I still see you because I'm not blind. But it's different than looking at you and lusting after you. I recognize beauty. I recognize nice body. But I'm not lusting after you like, what I'll do with that. But them first 2 years, that's the space I was in. I was preparing and prepping myself to cheat because I had never seen a faithful man in a relationship. So I was running on my own strength trying to be faithful, but you can't be faithful on your own strength. I had to fall in love with my belief system. I had to I identified Jesus Christ. And because for me, I was looking for perfection. I didn't want to strive to be like the dope boy or like my pastor or like my dad. My dad was my pastor, or like my football coach, because I saw all their flaws. So the only example I had ever heard of perfection was Jesus Christ. Whether you believe in him or not, I needed something to look up to. Somebody who had walked a better life than me and had people testify on his behalf that he was perfect. And so I say, I know perfection is not attainable, but I'm going to strive for it. And in the process, I will catch excellence, in the words of Vince Lombardi. So I started pursuing perfection. And in the pursuit of perfection, I became excellent in my marriage. Not perfect, but excellent. And so what happened was, by me removing all distractions, giving every woman that I was emotional cheating with, or, flirting with, or being too kind to, giving them the boot, even though nothing physical was happening, I was able to focus. When you put a magnifying glass on a blade of grass and let the sun shine through it, it can catch fire. But if you move in it, nothing gonna catch fire until you focus and you all the way locked in. When you focus and you faithful, you receive favor. So my life is a product of being aligned for my blessings, because you cannot receive your blessings if you're not aligned. Because your blessings on the road to destiny and is looking to meet you. But if you walking down Lush Street and you walking down Lie Street and you walking down Fake Street and you walking down Instagram posing street, you're going to miss your blessing that's on the road of your destiny. And so when I got in line and I got focused and I was faithful, I received favor. And 9 out of 10 times when I'm coaching relationships, it is the man who is not focused. And so therefore the relationship cannot receive favor. Because although society and social media has told us that women cheat just as much as men, I have to tell you that it's not true. Some of you know it, and some of y'all agree with social media because you probably cheated. But I know women don't cheat as much as men because I was a womanizer. And I know the countless of hundreds of women I tried to talk to and they kept walking on me because they had a boyfriend. So if women cheat as much as men, I would have never had 100+ women turn me down because they're in a relationship. But I do not know 100 men who have turned down the approach or advance of a woman because he's in a relationship. And so I saw myself from being in the field that a woman by nature is faithful. And I'm coaching women who tell me their deepest, darkest secrets, things that I do not want to hear. Some of this stuff had you on the floor. And I mean, mouth open, I'm like, whoa. And will be completely honest with me. And all of these women, I would say 90% of them, they talking to me about a cheating man. And I say, well, in the 10 years that he was cheating on you, did you cheat on him? She said, not once, never. I'm like, what? And I'm hearing this over and over and over and over. I just recently had the privilege of talking to 2 women who cheated on their man. And I was happy to hear that because I had the thousands that did not cheat. And so I come to the realization that if a man is focused and locked in, that relationship can thrive. Now, on the other side, when it's the woman messing it up, 9 out of 10 times, it's because she has not addressed the pain of her past. Because, see, a man could have a rosy life and still be a dog. A man could have a terrible life and be a king, be a great man. Because we don't feel and process as deeply as a woman does. Because of our brains are created differently. You know how a woman can hear a baby cry in the night? That's in her brain. That part of her brain that hears that is larger. In a man, your baby could be crying and you just... A woman, that baby make a little peep. My wife wake up on anything. But then I studied it and I realized it's science. It's the difference in the brain. And so for a man, we don't process our feelings as deeply. We feel and we hurt, but we able to heal and keep going and do different because of how we're wired. So a lot of times we're acting out of choice and not out of consequence or circumstance. But see, with a woman, you feel so deeply that your soul ties, whether it's to a toxic family member or a friend or to an ex-lover, it affects you so deeply that you come into a relationship and you give a good man 2 strikes when he hasn't even stepped to the plate to bat. So he has 2 strikes against him from the start. And now everything he does is wrong. Nothing is right. And so because you're operating from a place of insecurity and pain and brokenness, you start to suffer from the curse of comparison. So in that space, that leads you to compare your life to other people. So you start looking at men like me and other men online talking about love and relationships, and you start to compare our highlight reel to your man's behind the scenes. When there are days that our wives would gladly send us to you. And so, but because you don't see the bad, you only are comparing your man's bad to somebody else's social media good. And now you're unhappy with your relationship. And so now it's breaking down. And you're looking at it and you're like, man, why my man don't do this? Why my man don't do that? Why is it like this? Why is it like that? And he's like, you know what? I'm trying. I'm working. I'm trying to be the best I can. Do they need something from me? Okay. Man, y'all so big and scared, man. Look, I'm like, so now what y'all doing here? Y'all ain't looking for me. Okay. Go, boy, look here. Hey, I got a pass. Okay, thank you. Hey, I got a pass now. I got a pass. I said, Lord, hey, the feds ain't looking for me. I said, Lord, I done changed my life, but they say you're going to reap what you sow. I said, Lord, what these guys here for? We got a nice, safe crowd now. What? They doing crowd control? So back to what I was saying, I see so many women, and now because you're broken and because you're hurting and because you did not address the pain, because you attract what you are. So when you're hurting and you have been cheated on, you've been abused, it shows in your eyes. It shows in your smile. It shows in your demeanor that you've been broken. So what happens is you attract a no good man. And now when you get in this relationship, you with a man who is already broken down, and now you reinforcing his brokenness and you reinforcing his grown boy behavior, and now you start to compare his grown boy behavior to somebody else's grown man behavior. But you don't know the grown boy side of that man that you're comparing to. And I hear women all the time tell my wife, oh, you lucky, oh, you lucky. You know, oh, you're so blessed. And I think to myself, I say, you don't know where I come from. You comparing your man to me, but your man done only been with 5 women. I had been with over 100 women by the age of 21. I was a drug dealer. I was a college dropout. I was a thief. I was a womanizer. I was a toxic, controlling, abusing lover before I met my wife. I was the devil in the flesh. But my belief in Christ and me following this form of perfection, whether you think it's a fairy tale or not, I took it as reality. And I said, here is an example of love, of kindness, of forgiveness, of strength, of confidence, of sacrifice, of dedication, of purpose. Everything in Jesus Christ represented that to me. So I say, I'm going to embody that because I'm completely lost. And I can't follow no man that I know because they all flawed. And I know I won't be perfect. So when you compare the man you meet to a man like me today, you got to understand that I wasn't born this way. That I wasn't this man when my wife met me. That I had to grow into this. And so many women sabotage their relationship because of comparison and not being okay with progress. Instead, you're looking for perfection. So understand this. What is progress? Progress means that when you tell your partner what you need, they make a change. They don't become perfect overnight, but they make a change. And that every day and every week and every month, they're getting better and they're growing. That's progress. So you can't expect perfection. And lastly, you have to ask yourself, me and my wife, we have a rule. And it is a rule that I introduced into the relationship, and is if it's not worth breaking up over, it's not worth arguing over. So whenever we face an issue, if it's not a deal breaker, we're going to address it and we're going to get past it. There's no yelling, screaming, fussing, cussing, sleeping in separate beds. I cannot remember a time in 12 years of marriage that me and my wife have slept in separate rooms. I can't remember a time. I cannot remember a time in 12 years of marriage that my wife has yelled at me, that she has cursed at me, that she has disrespected me in public, ever. But I coach so many people to where the woman talking to the man like a dog, cussing them out, punching them, slapping them, but expecting him to grow. And then the man, he acting out. He cheating. He doing what he do. He being a grown boy. And the woman reinforces it by becoming a grown girl. So instead of stooping to the level of an immature partner, you got to make them elevate to your level. And what that means is you cannot keep a person unless they know you're willing to walk away. 12 years of marriage, and I know in the blink of an eye, my wife will drop me like a bad habit. 12 years of marriage, and she knows in a blink of an eye, I'll drop her like a bad habit. So, and the reason why is because of self-love. When you have self-love, you are unwilling to put up with an adult who knows right from wrong, who can do better and knows better, but refuses to do better. And I want you to understand, I created this thing I call the 4 levels of love. And the highest level is self-love. You have lust, then you have like, then you have love, then you have self-love. People say that you have to love yourself before you can love someone else, but it's not true. We love people when we're not loving ourselves. When you're putting up with toxic behavior, you're loving that person and not loving you. So a lot of times in a relationship, you are in love before you are in self-love. But when you are in love, that is where you learn that self-love is of the essence, that it is a non-negotiable, that you have to have self-love. Because if you don't, then your love will not have longevity. And so often, because we introduce sex so fast, we go from lust to love. Because sex is not making love. Sex is expressing and fulfilling lust. So when you have sex, that makes you feel you have an official relationship. So because you've had sex, you get into a relationship. And because you're in a relationship, you feel you have to love. So you are loving someone that you don't even like. You skipped over like. And so now that is why your relationship is broken, because you did not build it on the foundation of friendship, which is like. You built it on a foundation of love, which is sex. On lust, which is sex. And then you jumped in. So now, because you skipped like, you don't know how to love yourself, because you gave your body away to someone that you didn't even know, because you felt chemistry, not understanding that chemistry is not love, that lust is not love. And that is why our relationships fail. So take that lust, which is attraction to someone, and give that attraction time. So instead of acting on your lust and having sex in the first week, the first month, or even the first 3 months, talk to this person that you are attracted to. And in those 3 months, 6 months, you're going to realize if you like this person that you're lusting after. So allow that lust to turn to like. And then when you like this person, now you say, let's be exclusive. And now when you're exclusive, you fall in love. And now when you fall in love, this is when you're serving them and they're serving you. And in that space, you find self-love, which says, although I love you, I will leave you because I first love me. Although I love you, I have to love myself more. And then I will love you as I love myself. Like the good book says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. And so many people misquote that when I write that. They say, that ain't what it say. That ain't what it say. You got to love people even though they don't love you, or even if you don't love you. No, you love your neighbor as you love yourself. So in this space of love, you adopt self-love. And at that point, if you and your partner agree to love yourself, but also to love one another, you've created the perfect relationship. Because now you know that you can't disrespect, take advantage, or take for granted. And they know that they can't disrespect, take advantage, or take for granted. And the two of you are selfless. And that's where you operate from. Thank you so much. I said I was going to be done at 8 o'clock to take some questions. We have the building actually till 10. And so I'm going to take some questions. I know some of you got to get to work, get home, and got a long commute. I'm going to take some questions, 15, 20 minutes from our VIP guests. If you all have questions, then those questions will be for everybody in the room. And then after that, we will be done, and I'll stay behind to take some pictures with those of you who made that huge investment in the VIP ticket. I know that was a lot. When I first came over here, I didn't understand the difference between dollars and pounds. And people were telling me, this was a few years ago, Tony, I don't understand, why the tickets so much, and I didn't realize that y'all money was worth more. And so this time I tried to, be a little more reasonable, but y'all stuff over here actually costs more. So, you know, we try to balance it out. So I thank y'all for making that, investment. I believe it was 50 pounds or so, and that means a lot to me. So some of your VIP may be in the back. Anybody in VIP, but you're not in the first two rows? Anybody? Or all y'all got up there one? Okay. So if you have a question, let me know. Any of y'all have questions, raise your hand, and I'm going to bring the mic to you. And we're going to take a few questions. And don't be shy.
This is just to find out how to handle situations when a guy approaches you. So you're out and about and someone comes and asks for your number, but you don't really know them and you're giving them like access to you. So how do you sort of gauge whether to give them your number, or do you ask questions before you give them your number? How do you manage that?
That's a good question. That is a good question, and I don't think I've got that question before. And, the key to that is to already have your list in your mind, your standards. So a lot of times we do that based on looks. We base, these gentlemen back here at the door, if one of them asks you for your number, oh, yes, +44797777. But now, and the reason why is because it's universal, tall, dark, and handsome in a uniform. Number, draws, I live over there. Do you want to go on a date tonight? But up under that, it could be a guy who comes up and, the average height in America is 5'9". He may be 5'9", 5'7". But if you've been telling yourself, I want a man 6 foot or taller, you don't even recognize him. So when he approaches you, he startles you. You're like, oh, wow, oh, I didn't even see you, excuse me, sir, because you looking up like this. And so the key is when you look at this man, you really don't have to get into the guesswork of what if he's a secret millionaire and he just dresses like a bum. Because how he dresses, that says something about him. And a lot of men today, just like a lot of women, can be cubic zirconia in a Tiffany's box. And then you can have people who are a diamond in a brown bag. And so you have to realize that when you are single and you're dating, you're going to have a high fail rate. So you may actually, honestly, if it's affordable, even have 2 phone numbers or a Google Voice number that you give the number to. But then if you got a smartphone, you can hit block this caller. So you have to get in the mindset that I may have to go through 100 dates to meet the one. And so, but if you're so apprehensive and you thinking of all the things from your grandmother and your aunt about spirits and, oh, his spirit don't sit well with me, or I didn't like the color of his shoes, his jeans, the hole was too big, then you're going to miss your husband. So my thing is, give your number, talk to him, and see how he goes from the time you give him your number. A man who is attracted to you, seriously attracted to you, will contact you every day. And he will want to talk to you, not to text you to death. If he's texting you to death, that means he's juggling many women. But he will want to hear your voice because he's thinking you falling in love with his voice. And so he's going to want to talk to you, and he's going to want a minimum of an hour of your time a day, whether that's in 15-minute increments or a full hour before y'all go to bed. A man who is really into you. If it's anything less than that, then that's when you can start to factor in he could have a girlfriend, he could have a situationship, he could be married, he could be juggling multiple women. And so you just kind of use a process of elimination from there. And every month, after 30 days, you evaluate it and you say, look, promote, demote, or terminate. And by that third month, by month 3, a man should be asking you to be exclusive. By the end of the third month, he should be saying, listen, I want you to be my woman. I want to be exclusive. I really like you. We've been talking a lot. By this time, y'all should have 90 hours of talk time in the bank. And he should be asking you to be exclusive. A man truly knows if you can be his wife from the first real conversation. Meaning that when y'all talk for 2, 3, 4 hours, by the time you've talked to a man 10 hours total, he knows if you have the qualities to be a wife. He don't necessarily know he's going to marry you, but he can do a process of elimination and say, okay, she checks this. I talked to my wife 6 hours the first time we sat down. We were sitting on some hard benches that put the little pattern in your leg. It was so hard. And I sat there for 6 hours on that hard bench, and I talked to her. And when I got up, I said, that's my wife. One day, 6-hour conversation. 12 years later, that's my wife. I had to point her out because my insecurity, because tall, dark, and handsome standing back there. So 12 years, I'm still a little insecure. And I see he leaning over there talking to my wife, asking questions. I said, yeah. No, I'm just playing. Any other questions?
Hi, Tony. What would be your advice to a very independent woman, independent woman who was never felt like she needs anyone to live her dreams and achieve things, to then let a man lead her without feeling like she's losing control?
I see you. So a very independent woman who does not need a man and worried about allowing a man leading you, letting a man in to lead you, at the risk of losing your independence, losing yourself. That's a really good question. And today, a lot of women have that question because social media and everything that's going on with men has slowed men down on the process of marriage. Whereas, 40s, in the 1940s and 50s, men looking to get married at 18. And then it went to 21. Then it went to 25. Today it's like 35, Some men 40, 45. So because men have so many options and have slowed down so much, women had to lose the desire for marriage. Even though you planned your wedding when you was 10 years old, when you got 18 and you wasn't in nothing serious, and then 21 and then 25, you got to go to work. So you get out of what y'all call uni, and you go to work. And now you working, and you so focused on your work that you start to actually climb the ladder, and you get some job security, and you get a little raise, and you get a little position. So now you have your bills paid, and you can have a savings. And then here comes Mr. Man. And so here's what you have to understand. It's great to be independent. The difference between being single and being in a relationship is the difference between being independent and being interdependent. So what you have to realize is that when a man comes into your life, it's not to lead you. It is to complement you. So if you bring the table to the table, then he's bringing a table to your table. And now y'all can have a feast. It ain't you bringing the table and he's bringing a chair and then want to sit at the head of the table. So if you've worked on yourself and you focus on, you got everything in order and you've been focusing on you, you should be able to look at him and tell he's been working and focusing on him. So now y'all are equal if his heart is where your heart is at. And a man who knows who he is, he's not looking to lead a woman. He's looking to lead himself. And in leading himself, he understands that if he leads in love with his woman, that she's going to respect him. And that she's not going to emasculate him, and that she's going to let him be the head of the household in the areas where he is strong. Not necessarily a tyrant or a dictator. That's what he knows. And that's what you have to know. So you look at him, and if he's still living with his mom by force because he refuses to work, then he's not there. If he has money and he's successful, but he has the mentality that tells him a woman is a housemaid and that he calls all the shots and he's a dictator and that your brain really becomes null and void, then you know he's not there. So you date him, you get to know him, but understand that you are not sacrificing your independence. You're becoming interdependent. And a good man, a real man, a ready man, he'll understand that and he'll respect that. And we actually, good men, speaking on behalf of us, we want an independent woman. A lot of women say, oh, why men intimidated by an independent woman? We're not. And to be honest with you, no man, this just so to clarify, no man is intimidated by a woman. It's just not in the nature of man. Because God made a woman from man. The man who sleeps on the street feels good enough for you. And if you walk slow enough, he will shoot his shot. No man is intimidated by a woman. So I want y'all to understand that. When you feel like what you call intimidated, it's really your spirit repelling his spirit. Because he has ulterior motives. And he knows that you're not with the games. So he can tell that you're about business. And that's why he will say, oh, you look too mean. Oh, you scary. Oh, you feel like a man. Oh, you intimidating. You're going to be single because you intimidating. All of that is coming from a grown boy saying that I can't be with you because I know I can't get over on you because you know who you are and what you bring to the table. But he's not intimidated. It's really more so respect.
Thank you so much. I just want to say I'm really grateful for the opportunity to see you face to face, first of all. You were the first speaker that I heard on Instagram that gave me the knowledge, the strength to actually get out of my relationship. And my husband, my ex-husband now, he hates you, basically. He's at home watching the kids, and when I was leaving, he said, say hi to Tony Gaskins, or whatever his name is, you know? So my question basically is, I relied on a lot of FBI skills in my 10 years of marriage. And, you know, going forward, I know it's not right to have that mindset towards somebody else, but my question is, should I rely on discernment alone when dating as a Christian, or is a little bit of FBI skills necessary, like access to passwords and things like that? Because I want to say I will trust the next person, but the truth is I have zero trust as I'm standing. So that's my question.
That's a good question. That's a very real question. And here's the thing, is love in a healthy relationship is a surrender. To love someone, you are saying, I'm giving you the opportunity to crush me. But you are only saying that after they have shown you who they are. So you don't say that on day one. When they show you that they are trustworthy, when they show you that they are honest, and they show you by keeping their word. So many women say he keeps planning a date and canceling it. You got to put your track shoes on. You got to take off. He's showing you he's not trustworthy. When he says over and over, I'm going to call you at 9, which, what's that, 21 for y'all? I'm going to call you at 21. And it's still 9. I was just in, I was in Italy. I was in Italy. They don't go by all that. So I'm going to call you at 9. And he calls you at 4 p.m. the next day, and he does that 3 times, that is your sign. You ain't have to put your FBI skills on. He's showing you who he is. When he says, hey, let's go on a date Friday night at 7, and then at 5:30, you ready, makeup on, everything. You sitting down in your front room, and you waiting on him to show up. You just watching some Netflix, and he texts you. Say, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it. And then he does that a second time. He's showing you you're not ready. So 12 years into marriage. Now, if I'm coaching an absolutely beautiful client by society standards, my wife will check my phone. She don't know that I know it, but I know in conversation. Because if I'm texting my client and something is said, I understand it could be taken out of context if you looking for dirt. So I will delete it. And then she will say to me later in conversation, you don't keep all your text message. And I say to myself, how would you know that? Unless you in my phone. But I would delete it, not because I did something wrong, but because I know if insecurity sets in and you go looking for dirt, you're going to find dirt. So I heard the analogy of a gold digger. And not a gold digger like a gold digger woman or man looking for money, but a gold digger, a person who dig for gold, right? And there was a guy, I think it was C.S. Lewis, and he had created like 100 millionaires. And they said, how are you making all your employees millionaires? And he said, well, I'm like a gold digger. I don't go looking for dirt, I go looking for gold. And so that's the mindset you got to have in a relationship. So you have to give your spouse enough rope to help themselves or to hang themselves. And just like when you in criminal activity, when y'all ain't been in criminal activity, but when you watch the crime shows and you watch the movies, it's always like the 10th time that the person get caught. They got $100,000 when they did the first robbery. They could just went on with their life, took that 100, invested somewhere, and moved on. But they keep doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it, and eventually you get messy, and then you get caught. The same thing happened with cheating. So when you give your spouse enough rope to help himself or hang himself, and then he is cheating, and you just loving life, and y'all happy, and he keeping you happy, and you know everything going great, he's gonna get relaxed, and he's gonna say, man, this woman confident, man, this woman she don't see nothing, she don't recognize nothing. So he's gonna get messy. So now he's gonna forget to delete texts, to delete emails. He's gonna forget to coach up his side woman and say, look, do not call me after 7 p.m. He's gonna forget to tell her that. And then you're gonna be in this thing, and then boom, it's just gonna slap you in the face. And then that's when you get to check them. You get to check them, you get to call them out, you get to let them know that you trusted them, that you gave him enough rope, and he decided he was gonna try to hang himself. But you caught him in the midst, and you saved his life. And at this point, you can decide, look, I'm gonna give you one more chance. And at that point, that is when you on probation. So you see, we all have freedom until we get caught for a crime. Then we get caught for a crime, you got to do the time. If it was a big crime, you going to prison. If it was a little crime, you might get some probation, or it's just on your record. The same thing in the court of love. So you give a person enough freedom, they make a mistake. Now, when a person makes a mistake, in order to get you back, there's stipulations. So at that point, I need your Facebook password, Instagram password, your phone code, and I'm putting track my friends on the app on your phone, and we gonna run it like this for a little while. And that may go for a whole year. And he or she has to be okay with that, because they're in the wrong, and they gotta prove themselves to be right. And they gotta prove their innocence or their change beyond a reasonable doubt. And if they are unwilling to do that, then you gotta be willing to walk away. Any other questions?
Thank you, Tony Gaskins, for meeting you. I have a question. You told us your father said, "Love like you've never been hurt before." Beautiful words, but how do you put that in practice? Because when you meet someone new, you always have that in your mind, the hurt you had from your past relationship.
That's a great question. That's a great question. Well, you put it in practice by, you always have to talk to yourself, and you have to think before you act. So the way it looks is, if you were cheated on, and then you get in a new relationship, you want to check this person's phone because your ex was cheating on you. So loving like you've never been hurt means that you love the new person as if they're perfect. And so you don't check their phone. When he says, hey, I got to work late tonight, your ex used to tell you he had to work late and he actually was cheating on you. So in the new situation, you think of that and you want to say, do you really have to work late or is it another woman? That's what you want to say. But instead, to put it in practice, you say, okay, cool, I'll see you when you get home. And so that is what loving as if you've never been hurt is. Before you say anything or before you do anything, you have to ask yourself, where am I operating from? Where is this coming from? This action that I want to take, these words that I want to say, what is the root of it? And if you look at it, a lot of times the root is past pain or current insecurity that comes from past pain. And so I had to realize with my wife after I learned that I could not question her too much about what she was doing, where she was going, who was calling her, who was texting her. You know, I had to get over, who you texting right now? Let me see your phone. Give me your phone. Because that was from my past when I thought that men were supposed to be controlling. I had to get beyond not letting her have girls' nights out and hanging out with friends thinking that she was out cheating, because in the past, a woman had said, oh, I'm at the mall with my friend, but truthfully, she's in the mall with her ex-boyfriend, you know? So I had to get beyond that and start saying, you know what? I'm going to just trust her. Okay, cool. All right, baby, go ahead. Oh, you at lunch with your friend? Okay, cool. Now, the whole time, I might be sitting there thinking, man, she could be with another man right now. But I'm just dealing with it. And so that's what it means. And it's hard, it's tough, and we have moments of weakness. And the moments of weakness are going to be there for the rest of your life. But you just got to check yourself in the process. Take two more questions.
Hello, Tony. It's a pleasure to be here. I have a question about a distance relationship. How do you know that your relationship that is going on distance is actually a genuine one to hold on to? Distance, well, Portugal and UK, London and Portugal, let's say. 2 hours, about 2 hours, yeah. Drive? Fly. No, you can't. Yeah. No, we can't. Yes. Well, no, we kind of booked to see each other, kind of. We've been together for a year. We see each other like once a month, let's say. Yeah. Yeah, about that. Not so much lately. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry? Well, before we used to kind of speak every day, and lately we speak a bit less than we usually used to, basically. every 2 days, 3 days sometimes. Not as often as it used to be.
Yeah, it's yeah. Yeah, sister. Now, are you truthfully in your heart? Are you truly in your heart questioning, is this a relationship worth continuing in? Or do you feel you know that it's not and you just want to hear somebody else say it? Or do you truly believe you're still in a relationship with him? So you question it from your side too. Okay. Well, that's all it is. It's a wrap. It's over. It's over. Because the woman is the lover. The woman is the giver. The woman is, your heart is the one that's created for love more so than the man. We learn how to love based on you. So when you questioning your love and your heart isn't all the way in it, and y'all talk every 2 days and you ain't flipping, the handle and going off and flying off the handle and, cursing him out and booking a flight to fly to Portugal, your heart is not in it. Your heart is not in it. You've released it. And this is one thing I'll tell y'all. Who in a long distance relationship? Anybody in a long distance relationship? One over here, back there. Okay, a few of y'all. Oh, the police in long distance relationship. I'm gonna tell y'all this. When you in a long distance relationship, you got about 12 months to try to figure out who moving where. You got about 12 months to figure out who moving where. Because how many of y'all ladies understand and realize it's hard to trust a man when he right in front of you? And some of you, you get to the point it's hard to trust yourself too, because you got feelings. So your man way over there, he can't rub your back. He can't massage them tracks. He can't help you take your plaits out. He can't rub your feet. He can't take you to the movie on Friday night. All y'all could do is Skype. And your heart growing weary. And then you walk past tall, dark, and handsome in a uniform. And you start to feel something. And you start to question everything. Lord, is this your will? This long distance. So I'll tell y'all, to be honest with you, as a coach, I do not believe in long distance relationships starting that way. If it grows to that point because y'all were together and you built the foundation and then somebody had to go away for deployment or for work or something like that, and they're going for a season and y'all got a plan of return or a plan of, rejoining, then that's different. But to meet somebody who lives somewhere else and to try to build a relationship and for it to go longer than a year without an engagement or a marriage and a plan to move, it's really not real. Because we're humans and we're physical, and a woman can hold out like that for some time. But in the nature of a man, it will take a very, 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 very special man to be able to be 100% faithful to you long distance. And that's just, I know it bursts your bubble because you're meeting people online and it's hard to hear, but just me being in the trenches and seeing it and how it plays out is the truth of the matter. One more question. I feel like I've seen you somewhere before. Did I see you somewhere before? Come to another seminar? Wow.
Instagram. So this one's going to sound really stupid. So I've recently met this man, and he's amazing. Within the first month, he was like, listen, I'm not seeing anybody else, and I don't want you to either. Like, I want us to build something together. And I'm like, It's scary. I think when you're so used to dating trash, and then you meet someone who is genuine and is honest and is so committed and thinks I'm amazing. Literally, he thinks I'm so amazing. It's a bit scary. The other day I said to him, "Why you always got to tell me how nice I am, how amazing I am?" It's weird. How do you open yourself up when you're so used to being treated badly?
Where does he live?
Not even very far. He lives down the road. He comes to pick me up and drop me off, and
So he has a car.
he has a car. He's gainfully employed. He works in the city. He's very tall. He's 6'7" in London, ladies. See what I'm saying? Yeah.
How old is he?
He's 31.
Okay, I see. Does he have a place to stay? He owns his house. Okay, wow. Wow, okay, wow. Wow. Yeah, that's yeah, that's different. Yeah, it sounds too good to be true. It does sound too good to be true. But hey, that's how blessings are. Blessings are too good to be true. But this is what you have to do is you have to set a timeline in your mind. And if you're not dating anybody else and you're not dating around and he said, look, I'm not talking to anybody, I want to be with you, then, and you're ready, then you take that leap and you say, let's be exclusive. And you're exclusive. But what you have to do is you have to evaluate it every month and every 3 months. You just got to evaluate it. And that's what you're going to see, because men move fast when they're ready or when they need some help. And it could be like, have a scam up their sleeve or something like that, want to get your credit or, go half or get you to invest on something. So it's one of the two extremes. He's extremely ready because he's tired of waiting, or he got a major scam he want to run. And so the only thing that will tell you the truth is time. And so I had one client that I was coaching, and the guy was like that. And had, stuff going together, everything, house, car, and all that. But he kept, 2 months in, let's talk about finances. Let me see your finances. Let me see your bank account, how much savings you got. Let me see how much money you got in your savings, Let me see that. And he kept pressing her. And she's coming in $500,000, for a settlement from her company. And he was like talking to her about the money, and then pitching business ideas for investments. And it's just only been a few months. And so it dawned on her that's what he was doing. His thing is to get a woman, assume that you're desperate for love, make a bunch of promises, get you vulnerable, and literally there are men who have a house and a car, and it's in a woman's name because that's the game he play. So that's what you have to see. And then in a few months, if you see, oh, he's not asking me for nothing, and he's still picking me up, he taking care of stuff, and then month 6, month 9, month 12 is the deadline. In every dating situation, at month 12, you make a decision for life that you finna stay and make it work because this is the one, because you have thoroughly vetted, you have talked, you have listened, or you're about to leave. And so the most you can give that trial period is 12 months. And as soon as you can leave is 30 days unless you see something crazy before that. Hey, thank y'all so much. I really appreciate you.